So nowadays the Titanic has become quite a popular subject because of the sinking of the Ocean Gate submersible, the implosion that happened. So Ocean Gate produced a submersible which basically took explorers down to the wreckage. Well, today we're going to look at a few reasons why the Titanic went down despite being such a grand production of the White Star liner, which later on became Cunard. So the first among the many reasons, and these reasons are taken from books and survivor accounts. So the first reason is that Captain Smith was pushing the ship's engine too far and it was traveling too fast. Basically, he was trying to beat the time of the Olympic, which was known as the sister ship of the Titanic. But in that effort, in his farewell voyage and the maiden voyage of the Titanic, he pushed the engines too much. It was traveling at full speed. That's one reason of its sinkage. The second reason is the wireless radio operator dismissed the key iceberg warning. Less than an hour before the Titanic hit the iceberg, another nearby ship, the Californian, radioed to say it had been stopped by dense field ice. But as the warning didn't begin with the prefix Master Servicegram MSG, which would have required the captain to directly acknowledge receiving the message, the Titanic's radio operator, Jack Phillips, considered the ship's warning non-urgent. Third reason is it took a fatal turn. Louis Patton, the granddaughter of a Titanic officer, Charles Lightlawler, one of the ship's crew members, panicked after hearing the order to turn hard starboard in order to avoid the iceberg approaching. Because ships at the time operated on two different steering directions. The Titanic was steered towards the ice, and this is taken from a fictionalized account of a book known as Good as Gold. The third reason is the Titanic's builders tried to cut the costs. So the rivets were brought from the wreckage and after it was discovered in 1985, and when tested, the rivets are they bind two pieces of steel. So it contained a high concentration of slag, a smelting residue that can make metal split apart. So this is a theory that it may have weakened part of the Titanic's hull that hit the iceberg, causing it to break apart upon impact. Another reason that mirages and hazy horizons were created by weather conditions. So two studies done around the time of the 100th anniversary of the Titanic disaster in 2012 suggested that nature played a key role. How? The atmospheric conditions on the night of the disaster may have caused a phenomenon called superrefraction. So this bending of light creates mirages and optical illusion that prevented the Titanic's lookouts from seeing the iceberg clearly. And it also made the Titanic appear closer and smaller to the nearby ship Californian, and causing its crew to assume it was a different ship without a radio. Another reason is the lookouts had no binoculars. Second Officer David Blair, who held the key to Titanic's store of binoculars in his pocket, was transferred off the ship before it left for its maiden voyage from Southampton and forgot to hand over the key to the officer who replaced it. Binoculars may have helped them spot and dodge the iceberg in time. Another reason is that there weren't enough lifeboats. So this basically lifeboats, it only left with 20 lifeboats. That's the legal minimum with a total capacity of almost 1200 people. Though the 20 lifeboats depart with 400 empty seats. That's why the catastrophic event took such a exponential rise, which left more than 1500 people to perish in frigid ocean waters. So those were a few reasons which aren't quite popular, but they're quite fascinating to know. That behind the unfortunate event there were a few reasons, and which I just stated. Yeah, thanks for listening.